Peace. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. In this video, we're going to be going over the argument number 2, white people were slaves. This is one of the main statements that are made when you talk about the subject of reparations. Again, we're talking about a true statement, right, with a true conclusion. However, the premise of it not being it being something that negates reparations for foundational Black Americans is a weak premise. And it's a valid deflection of a fact that it did happen. Okay, so it's a real technique or strategy, and we don't negate anybody's pain or suffering, first of all. And I want to reiterate another thing is I still think that we should live in a society where every single person can prosper and thrive despite their background, despite their maybe issues that they're having, whatever it is. I think that we can build a society that everybody can thrive. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that at the moment. So one of the tactics used by those who oppose reparations for foundational Black Americans is a Darvo tactic: deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. My link is here in the paper, but however, the link wasn't active. I have to go through all my links again because apparently there's been a mishap. There was a mishap when I made my first recording of this video. So this is a re-recording. And I've never had happen before. Okay, so let's continue on. So one of the big arguments made on the internet deflects and detracts without acknowledging the slavery of Black Americans. And before I continue reading, once again, if you want to do a friend test, if you want to, talk to them about reparations for all the people that say, well, I have, Black friends. I'm definitely not racist. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and share with them this page, and see how they react. See if they even text you back about it. Imagine going to an emergency room and the doctor looking you up and down. Let's say you're in pain. Doctor looking you up and down and telling you that his cousin is in pain too and he can't see you. Slavery impacted the white community. However, the scope and scale of white slavery was vastly different from transatlantic chattel slavery of foundational Black American descendants of freedmen. So two polar opposites in a lot of ways. Not acknowledging the harm during slavery and post-slavery is not a logical conclusion productive to redress. Grabmeyer, 2004, states, most previously estimated slave counts have thus tended to be in the thousands or at most in the tens of thousands. Davis, by contrast, has calculated that between 1 million and 1.25 million European Christians were captured and forced to work in North America from the 16th to 18th centuries. That's on page 1. And he states this. And this is the research report by Ohio State News that he published a while back. And so the article's second paragraph mentions in a new book, Robert Davis, professor of history at Ohio State University, developed a unique methodology to calculate the number of white Christians who were enslaved along Africa's Barbary coast, arriving at a much higher slave population estimate than previous studies had found. So notice there is a new methodology, right? So he comes up with a new methodology, but no explanation in the article on how this unique methodology was actually calculated. I'm quite sure that he went over that in detail in the book, the source that he's highlighting. So that'll have to be something that I add or edit in the future. You don't want to get a hold of that book. So we have yet to read the book personally, but we will add more updates as we delve deeper into this particular topic. So it is interesting. It is interesting to understand. Again, with history, with my writings, I don't like to have a whole lot of bias. So again, definitely will check that out. Counter argument 1. If you compare the 1860 census record for enslaved black people, 3.95 million, you will notice 3 times the amount of enslaved black people compared to Robert Davis's estimate of white enslaved people, which is 1.2 million. Slavery is unsuitable for humans, and the argument fails to acknowledge the foundational black Americans' plight during slavery and systemic poverty policies against black people in the aftermath. Okay, counter argument 2. The idea that white people were enslaved is often used to dismiss or deflect or downplay the experiences of enslaved black Americans and systemic racism and discrimination they have faced throughout history and in contemporary society. 13th Amendment, Section 1. Okay, still a slave if you get convicted. The adventures of enslaved white people ignored the larger historical and social context of racism and white supremacy that have privileged white people and oppressed others. Okay, we just had a discussion recently about the migrants that come over and get all these benefits and handouts, and then years later turn around and say, well, why don't you Negroes just pull yourselves up by your bootstrap and stop complaining on the internet and work hard like I did? When you got all kind of handouts. So counter argument 3, the argument focuses on race and places white people in a place of foundational black Americans. So again, we went through this, right? So because we went through it, it means you didn't go through it. I don't know what the mindset of these people that have this mindset here when you mention the statement of reparations for foundational black Americans, as if that's an issue. We got once again, we got checks for everybody else. Red Indians, it goes on and on, man. Free labor for centuries comes with interest. And if you don't pay your debt in real life, you will be taken to court at some point, account seized, okay? So yes, America can continue to use historical deflection tactics, or certain Americans can. However, it does not remove black slavery or post-slavery policies that still hurt black people to this day. Till this day. They made fun of Deontay Wilder till this day. We all know what he was talking about till this day. It's not a game out here. Okay, so the next video we're going to be talking about the next argument, number 3. But black people own slaves. Again, another weak, valid deflection tactic. It's valid. Yeah, black people own slaves. A weak, valid deflection tactic from based upon a weak premise, but a true conclusion.
Going overtime, I'm over, power is over. I be writing fire, hot as hell, you smell the sofa. I do not get tired, they retired on the sofa. Team of League of Sires and we flying under no one. Going overtime, I'm over, power is over. I be writing fire, hot as hell, you smell the sofa. I do not get tired, they retired on the sofa. Team of League of Sires and we flying under